This is the Northwest Tank Line Super Bowl show coming to you from Radio Row, Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. Of course, Super Bowl 58. It is the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Our next guest, it's a tradition at the Super Bowl because, well, there's two parts to this tradition. We interview Brian Baldinger from the NFL Network, and, of course, if you follow him on Twitter and Instagram, Baldy's breakdowns are outstanding breakdowns of what's going on in the National Football League. Usually we wrap things up. We talk about your alter ego, the travel dog. We'll wait till the end to find out what's happening with the travel dog. But at the start, we always talk about how many Springsteen concerts have you seen in the past year? Because you and our man, Chris Burns, who's not here this year, Burnsy, we've talking about him offside. Burnsy, if you're listening, hello. But you and Burnsy, big Springsteen fans.
I know, and I was all set to go to two of them in Philadelphia this year, and he canceled the shows. He had the ulcer or whatever was going on. So the two shows I was going to go to, we went and saw the rehearsals. We were backstage talking to the band, and then we were all set up for the next night. And then they canceled both shows. They're rescheduled, but I haven't seen them this year.
So no concert. That must be a first for you.
Yeah, but it is. But I mean, a lot of people weren't able to see him this year.
Yeah,
there's just a lot of shows that got canceled, and then the rest of the tour got canceled at a certain point.
So
I would like to see you two over here, though.
Yeah, at the Sphere. I've had people that have done that. They've said it's just been amazing, right?
Likewise.
I mean, just the whole. Never mind the. I mean, I'm a big U2 fan, but I've talked to people that aren't even huge U2 fans, and they just said it's an amazing, an amazing experience. It's interesting. Radio Row here, like for us, it's a bit of a convention. And today I was kind of walking around, and I bumped into a few times. You've been kind of making the rounds today. And every time I talk to you, you're gathering intel. I love it. It's just like, it's not just chit-chat. Yeah. I see you talking with Thomas Dimitroff for a few minutes. You're over there talking to the other side with some other guys. It's always kind of like talking to people, getting intel, getting a feel for what's going on. I know that we all love our jobs, but I mean, for you, this must be just like a gold mine.
Well, it is because, the game is changing. Nobody knows it all, Bob. You have to constantly, learn about the newness that's coming, whether it's analytics or, whatever it is. There's always something that seems to be changing about the game. And so I think it's inherent upon us as ambassadors of the game to sort of be able to identify those trends and echo them in whatever way there is.
The thing is, you can't ignore it, right? I mean, that's probably the worst mistake. I think even from a competitive standpoint, if you're a general manager, a coach, and, hey, you know what? You might not buy 100% in analytics, but your opponents are. Mm-hmm. So if you want to know what your opponents are thinking, right?
It doesn't have to, it's just a component. And some places it's a little bit more than that, Bob. It's a little bit more science. But I don't think, the idea that you could just go away from finding out if that prospect has a real heart for the game. I don't think that's ever going to change. But I do think some of the ideas of, the simple things, fourth downs, two-point conversion, some of the things that we see more regularly now that are more part of it. So, some of those things, you have to pay attention.
All right, before we talk about the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the 49ers, you're a Philly guy. You do a lot of work in Philly. I saw you with the legend there, Anthony Gargano, doing your show. What? And this goes, my car guy, Scott Jones, West Coast Auto Group, one of our sponsors this year. He's a huge Eagles fan. I still think he's in a fetal position at one of his dealerships. Mm-hmm. But what happened to the Eagles? Things were looking so good, and then,
I thought they got lazy. I didn't think they worked hard, Bob. At the core, guys weren't in shape. I didn't think they worked hard enough in preseason. It's just hard to develop techniques and fundamentals if you're not really going after it in practice. And I thought practice habits kind of fell. I just thought it was all about playing games. And then once they hit the schedule, the gauntlet of their schedule, San Francisco, Buffalo, Dallas, some of the teams that they had to play, they didn't have answers when the blitzes were coming and the better talent was around them. And I thought they were the beneficiary of a lot of soft scheduling, and they weren't ready when the big boys showed up.
When they're sitting at 10-1, and you always hear coaches talk about this, the process. Follow the process. We have a coach in Vancouver now, Rick Tocchet, who used to be with the Flyers back in the day.
Rick.
And Rick talks about the staples. He talks about earning the day, and he talks about the process, right? and just following that every single day, because no matter what happens, if you keep those habits going, you eventually will have success. Some nights you might win, some nights you might lose, but you continue those habits. Did the Eagles actually develop those habits? Were those bad habits there while they were at 10-1, Brian, or did that kind of like that record kind of was a bit of a mirage because did it catch up to him at the end?
Well, I mean, the people that really follow the team think it was a little bit of a mirage. I mean, to get to 10-1, they beat Buffalo in overtime. They had to kick a 59-yard field goal just to get to overtime. Defensively, they were a bad team all year. Washington scored 31 points in both games against them this year. So defensively, they were bad. They had injuries. They lacked linebackers. They lacked speed. They had issues. Offensively, though, they were carrying the team. And I think, most of the analysts that kind of like watch them week in, week out, they're like, yeah, they're 9-1. But, if Dallas could score from the 1-yard line, they wouldn't have beat Dallas. If, the kicker doesn't make a 59-yard field goal, they don't go to overtime and beat Buffalo. So they thought there was a little bit of a mirage there with the record. And I think they were a little bit right about it.
I know that next season's a ways away. We haven't even finished this one. But what do you see for the Eagles next year?
Well, they made a lot of changes to the coaching staff. So they have new coordinators, new position coaches coming in. I think a lot of fresh blood. I think Nick Sirianni, I like Nick, and I wasn't an advocate of Nick being fired after the collapse. But I do think they need a different way of doing things. And, like when you go deep inside the locker room and you really talk to some of the issues that were at play, they need a fresh approach offensively and defensively. And you can't just plug holes. I love Calvin Byard as a player. He never really fit in Philadelphia. Like they were just plugging holes and making trades. And I thought they need to develop a younger core of players and really develop them.
Brian Baldinger is our guest from the NFL Network. Brian, of course, before we let you go, we got you for a couple more minutes. The Super Bowl itself. I always look at this game and I always think there are so many storylines heading into it. I want to know what is at the top of the charts for you in terms of questions that kind of got you thinking or storylines that got you thinking.
Brock Purdy at quarterback, is he a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback? Versus what a lot of detractors say is just a product of the system. So really, Kyle Shanahan is attached to Brock's hip. It's, he basically said from his rookie year that he was probably the best quarterback on the team. They had to play out Trey Lance and Garoppolo, and all those things had to take place. So it happened, probably when it should have happened. But, Kyle wants to win a Super Bowl. He needs one in his resume for his legacy. Brock certainly would love one to take down all those detractors. I mean, Kyle Shanahan against maybe the best big game defensive coordinator we've seen in the last 20 years in Steve Spagnuolo. That's a pretty good contest right there.
You tweeted this, I believe. Brock Purdy has to make like 5 really big-time throws in this game if the 49ers are to win it.
Yeah, I do. I believe that. I believe that with Nick Foles when he took down the Patriots 6 years ago, and he ended up making 10, like one unbelievable throw after another. They scored 41 points. It was that type of a game. It was a shootout. It was back and forth all the way to the end, 41-33. And so I thought Nick came out of there and made 10. That's why he was the MVP. But I feel like Brock is going to be in a situation, third downs, red zone, the throw that Mahomes made to Kelsey for the opening touchdown against, was that type of a throw. And he's got to make those kind of throws.
So in other words, in what most people are saying, Mahomes is going to get his. Purdy better be able to keep up, or at least keep the 49ers within striking distance and allow other elements.
We expect that from Patrick. Yeah. We expect that, that type of performance from him. And he might very well deliver that. But you're going to have to keep pace with a guy that's been here 3 other times and kind of knows how to do it. And so I think that this is where Brock is. And whether it's right or wrong, I mean, these quarterbacks all get evaluated, Bob, on how they play in the postseason.
Yeah,
and if they can win a Super Bowl. Yeah.
All right. Before we let you go, the travel dog. This is one of our favorite parts because the travel dog is Brian Baldinger's alter ego. At the end of the season, you just go somewhere. And you don't go to Phoenix or Miami. We're talking Colombia, Belize. I mean, American Samoa, wherever. I don't know. But, I mean, you do not go to your normal spots. Yeah. Where's the travel dog?
I'll be in the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. Today's the 4th. And I'll be there on the 17th. So 13 days from today, I'll be in Costa Rica. I'll fly into Liberia. I'll go to Nosara. I'll go north to Playa Negra. in some of those areas.
You've
up
done
there.
Costa Rica before, haven't you?
Yeah, I got a buddy that just built a house up there.
Yeah.
So we're all going down there to sort of housewarming thing. And then, but you can't fly from Costa Rica to Belize, but I want to go to Belize. So I have to come back to Miami and then go down to Belize. But I know, like, diving with those reef sharks in Belize last year was like, I need to go back and visit this again. And then, I've got I'll be at this one island in the Bahamas. My buddy's got his boat down there. He's living on the boat. So he tells me that there's a cave where there's unlimited supply of conch and lobsters. And I just have this vision every night of just like having this bag and just filling it with goodies, like all day long, and putting them on the grill.
And, of course, the third tradition that we have here with you, we talk to the travel dog,
Yes.
we talk about Springsteen. You always get your Monty number 2.
I got it right here, Bob.
Cubans are tough now, but, the Monty number 2, I got right there.
I was in Cuba this year over July 4th.
There you go.
So they were 50 cents on the street. This is a little bit more than that right here.
Yeah.
But they were the smell of fresh tobacco and cigars kind of wafted through the air everywhere you went.
Brian, great stuff. Thanks for stopping by.
Bob.
We appreciate it.
My pleasure, always.